Do you know that 3 times Paul begged God to remove the thing that was crushing him? 3 times God said no. And what God said instead changed everything Paul ever taught about suffering. We've all experienced moments when prayers seem unanswered, maybe for healing, a relationship, a breakthrough, or a major life decision. The silence can leave us questioning God's goodness, presence, or care. But 2 Corinthians 12 verses 8 to 9 reminds us, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." In this video, we'll explore why God sometimes says no, what He is actually doing behind the scenes, and how these moments can shape your faith, character, and blessings. Let's dive in. 1. Understanding God's no. When God says no, it does not indicate absence or disinterest. Often, His no is a demonstration of divine wisdom, a perspective we cannot yet grasp. God sees the full picture, including long-term consequences, hidden opportunities, and spiritual growth that only arises through delay. Isaiah 55 verses 8 to 9 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, as the heavens are higher than the earth. So are my ways higher than your ways." God's no often protect us from choices that may appear appealing, but could ultimately harm us, hinder growth, or prevent spiritual maturity. What we perceive as denial may actually be a better yes, a solution, blessing, or opportunity that exceeds our immediate understanding. Joseph's life demonstrates this principle. Betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment all set the stage for God's plan to save nations. When prayers go unanswered, believers often feel frustration or doubt, yet these moments invite reflection, reliance, and patience. Romans 8 verse 28 teaches that all things work together for good for those who love God. Waiting periods strengthen faith and refine character, helping us align with God's eternal perspective rather than short-term desires. Each divine no carries lessons: humility, patience, endurance, and trust. Understanding that God's no is intentional encourages believers to look beyond immediate discomfort and see His hand guiding toward a greater plan. Recognizing His wisdom transforms disappointment into hope, shaping hearts ready to receive blessings when the timing is perfect. If understanding God's no strengthen your faith, subscribe now to receive weekly Bible teachings for navigating unanswered prayers and life's challenges. 2. The purpose behind divine delays. Delays in answered prayer are rarely random. God's timing is intentional, designed to prepare hearts, teach lessons, and cultivate trust. Waiting allows spiritual endurance to grow, perspective to deepen, and faithfulness to be revealed over time. Often, God sees aspects of the situation that we cannot, opportunities, hidden pitfalls, or growth that is not yet possible in our current state. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us, "All things work together for good for those who love God." Just as Joseph endured hardship before God's plan unfolded, delays shape character, deepen faith, and strengthen discernment. Psalm 27 verse 14 instructs, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage." Wait for the Lord. These pauses teach humility, obedience, and reliance on God's wisdom. When interpreted with faith, silence becomes a time of preparation for blessings, insight, and opportunities that would not be possible without waiting. Embracing divine timing helps believers trust God's plan over immediate desires. 3. Common reactions to God's no. When prayers go unanswered, many believers assume one of two conclusions. Either prayer doesn't work or God exists but refuses to bless. Both interpretations can shake faith. Yet Romans 8 verse 26 reminds us that the Spirit intercedes on our behalf, even when words fail. Feeling confusion or frustration is natural, but offers an opportunity to deepen trust rather than question God's goodness. Often, people not only ask for outcomes, but specify how they want God to answer. God, however, has a broader perspective. Isaiah 55 verses 8 to 9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, as the heavens are higher than the earth. So are my ways higher than your ways." God's perspective sees the full consequences and the best timing for blessings. Many no responses are actually better yes. A denied request may redirect us toward growth, character development, or opportunities we could not anticipate. Just as Joseph's hardships prepared him for leadership, God's delays or refusals prepare our hearts for His larger plans. Faith grows when we reinterpret denial not as rejection, but as divine protection. Delays teach patience, trust, and discernment. Over time, believers notice that God's answers often surpass what they originally requested, demonstrating His perfect wisdom. If learning to interpret God's no strengthens your faith, subscribe now to receive weekly teachings for navigating unanswered prayers with confidence and trust. 4. Surrender and trust. Surrender is crucial when God's answer differs from expectations. Luke 1 verse 38 shows Mary's example. I am the Lord's servant. Let it be to me according to your word. True surrender is not passive. It is active trust, releasing control over outcomes while fully engaging in prayer and obedience. Surrender transforms anxiety into peace. Instead of demanding immediate answers, believers can focus on alignment with God's plan. Each unanswered prayer becomes an opportunity to practice faith and reliance on His wisdom. Psalm 37 verse 5 instructs, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." By doing so, believers acknowledge God's omniscience and embrace His timing. Daily exercises strengthen surrender. Journaling frustrations, praying scripture over the situation, and reflecting on past answered prayers. Gradually, surrender becomes habitual, allowing the Spirit to intercede even when we feel powerless or empty. Surrender also teaches patience and humility. It prepares the heart for blessings and ensures readiness when God acts. Over time, this trust reduces emotional turbulence and increases clarity in decision-making. Choosing surrender aligns the believer with divine timing, transforming waiting into an active, faith-filled practice. 5. Praise and worship. When words fail, worship becomes a natural extension of prayer. Psalm 22 verse 3 reminds us, God inhabits the praises of His people. Singing, meditating on scripture, or verbal praise focuses the heart on God rather than fear or distraction, allowing the Spirit to guide prayers. Worship stabilizes faith during crises. It shifts attention from problems to God's greatness, nurturing resilience and hope. Isaiah 61 verse 3 shows how praise restores the brokenhearted, giving strength in seasons of uncertainty. Even when the mind is silent, worship fills the spirit, allowing intercession to flow naturally. Daily practice of praise strengthens the mind and heart. Morning devotionals, music, or spoken gratitude create a rhythm that aligns thoughts with God's presence. Repeated worship encourages faith, diminishes anxiety, and reminds believers that God is active, even when answers are delayed. Praise also provides perspective. By focusing on God's attributes, faithfulness, wisdom, and love, believers see setbacks as part of a larger plan. Consistent worship encourages hope, peace, and readiness for God's guidance in ways that words alone cannot achieve. If praising God helps you pray even when words fail, subscribe now for weekly spiritual exercises to strengthen your prayer and faith. 6. Reflection and journaling. Reflection and journaling are powerful tools when words feel empty in prayer. Writing down thoughts, emotions, and frustrations allows believers to process feelings without judgment. Psalm 77 verses 11 to 12 says, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. I will consider all your works and meditate on all your mighty deeds. Reflecting on God's faithfulness anchors the heart in trust rather than despair. Journaling also reveals patterns in prayer struggles. Recurring doubts or emotional blocks become clearer, showing areas that need surrender or deeper faith. Writing prayers transforms vague feelings into tangible petitions, allowing the Spirit to guide them more effectively. Even noting one thing God is faithful for each day cultivates awareness, gratitude, and patience. When combined with scripture and meditation, reflection and journaling turn waiting into active engagement with God. Prayer becomes a dynamic dialogue, even when words are difficult to find, strengthening trust and deepening spiritual growth. 7. Trusting the Spirit. Romans 8 verse 26 reminds us, "The Spirit intercedes for us with groans that words cannot express." When words fail, trusting the Spirit becomes essential. Even in silence, the Spirit communicates with God, translating the deepest desires of our hearts. This intercession goes beyond human limitations, connecting our needs to God's perfect will. Believers often feel frustration when prayers seem unanswered, but relying on the Spirit allows us to rest in God's understanding rather than our own. Galatians 5 verse 25 encourages, "Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit." By leaning on the Spirit, prayer flows naturally even when the mind struggles to articulate words. Practical practices include deep, intentional breaths, focusing inwardly on God's presence, and inviting the Spirit to guide each prayer silently. Over time, subtle impressions, peace, or clarity emerge, aligning hearts with God's will. Trusting the Spirit also develops patience, spiritual sensitivity, and discernment as growth and answers unfold according to God's timing. Through this reliance, prayer transforms from forcing words into cultivating awareness of God's guidance. The Spirit consistently intercedes, empowers prayer, and aligns hearts with His plan, deepening faith and strengthening connection. If trusting the Spirit strengthens your prayer, subscribe now for weekly guidance on Spirit-led, authentic prayer. 8. Practicing daily presence. Daily presence is key to consistent, Spirit-led prayer. Even a few minutes each morning or evening to intentionally focus on God cultivates awareness, peace, and receptivity. Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness fosters an environment for the Spirit to guide prayer naturally. Creating a routine, such as reading Scripture, praising God, or meditating, primes the heart for meaningful communication. Journaling insights or verbalizing gratitude strengthens connection and builds a habit of spiritual attentiveness. Over time, prayer becomes less about mechanical words and more about an ongoing dialogue with God. Practical exercises include silently repeating a verse, focusing on breath while envisioning God's presence, or using guided meditation to release control and open your heart. These practices help the believer move beyond self-consciousness or fear, replacing mental clutter with faith-focused awareness. Consistent daily presence reinforces patience, increases trust in God's timing, and builds resilience when prayers feel unanswered. Habits of presence cultivate spiritual discipline and deepen intimacy with God, making prayer a natural, life-sustaining practice rather than a struggle. Through repetition and intentionality, believers learn that prayer does not require eloquence, just a willing heart. Engaging daily with God prepares the soul for intercession, aligns the heart with His will, and ensures that even silent or empty moments are fertile ground for spiritual growth. If practicing daily presence strengthens your connection with God, subscribe now to receive weekly teachings and exercises to deepen your prayer life and experience the Spirit's guidance. Prayer does not require perfect words. Romans 8 verse 26 reminds us that the Spirit intercedes for us when we cannot find the words ourselves. By waiting, surrendering, praising, reflecting, and relying on the Spirit, believers connect deeply with God even in silence. Daily intentional presence strengthens faith, patience, and spiritual sensitivity. Remember, unanswered prayers or moments of emptiness are not failure. They are opportunities for growth, trust, and alignment with God's will. If this video encouraged you, like, share, and subscribe to receive weekly teachings, spiritual exercises, and guidance to deepen your prayer life and experience God's presence every day.